something a little different to the usual Sunday vlogs that I put out. And I want to actually show you around. Obviously, some of you might have been watching along for these videos for what, like, it's been about 3 or 4 months now since I started doing this, which is crazy because that's how long we've actually been on the road together full time. And it's absolutely flown, it's mad. But beyond a couple of like snippets in the back of the videos, you haven't really seen the van. You've never had a tour, you've not been shown around. So today, what I want to show you is a pretty realistic van tour. Obviously, this van is not straight, fresh, new from being done, which is what a lot of the van tours look like that I've seen before. So what I want to do is show you the van that's very much lived in, very much been tried and tested. I want to show you honestly and humbly, like, this is what our home looks like what works, what doesn't work, what I love, why I love living here, and how it works with 2 humans, 2 dogs, storing all of their worldly possessions in a space where I can almost touch both the walls. So before we get cracking, Cam and I are just going to take the dogs on a walk, then we're going to come back and yeah, I'm going to show you around. Welcome to my crib. What did they used to say, Cam, at the introduction of cribs? I won't do the MTV intro because I'm not American enough and it would just be embarrassing for me.
Please don't.
But I will see you in a little bit. One of the things that we really wanted when we redid the van was a solid oak live edge worktop. Cam went for a skinny bit of oak so it didn't add too much weight, but it is really beautiful and it's one of the things that I'm like super grateful that we actually did. It kind of just adds to the warmth that we really wanted to get across in this build, and I really love the worktop. And then we have an undermounted sink, and the sink is one of the things that we definitely did wrong on the first build, because we tried to go fancy and had this little round copper sink that was so impractical for doing washing up. That washing up was one of the most stressful things in the world. So now we've got like a decent sized sink, we can actually comfortably do washing up. And I think that's one of the things that I would always say if you're looking at doing a van build, because like some things look really good, but you actually need to be able to like comfortably live and comfortably use that space. So prioritising things like enough space to actually cook, enough space to wash up, enough space to just have stuff on the side sometimes is needed, and it's one of the things I'm really glad we did. We also don't have an oven, so the only way we have to cook is on our hob. That means that... You're alright, honey? You have to get a little bit creative with cooking sometimes, but like I love to cook, that's cool. And we've never really missed having an oven. We did used to have one of those Omnia like stovetop ovens, and to be honest, if you like baking, I really would recommend that as well. But yeah, to be honest, long story short, it got pretty battered up and used too much gas and took too long. So we got rid of that as well, and now we literally just cook with pans on the hob. So another thing that was really important to us was to actually have enough storage for food, because again, that was something that we didn't do quite so well before. We had these really annoying upper cupboards that would basically just, shit would fall out of them whenever we were trying to drive. So in this build, we really wanted to make sure we had enough space to actually keep, yeah, like enough stuff in to cook. We wanted to be in colder climates. Obviously that comes with the risk of things like snow, like flooding, etc, etc. So we just wanted to make sure that we always had enough food on board to be able to get us through any sort of harsh weather or getting stuck anywhere or an engine breaking. I don't know, you've got to be prepared, right? So in the drawers here, we have plenty of space and plenty of divided space as well. And then we have one big larder cupboard at the bottom that fits in everything. That's just that little bit too tall to go in cupboards for tins and things like that. We also have obviously a fridge. The fridge is a Dometic fridge. What literage is our fridge?
It's on the smaller side of them.
Yeah, it's a pretty small one, isn't it?
Might be a 50 litre.
Yeah. We've got a pretty small Dometic fridge, but again, it's enough. We can generally fit about a week of like fresh fruit and veg and any meat we're buying and milk, etc. in there. So that's all good, that sits here. And then next to that we have a couple of drawers here, and we use this one for cosmetics and bits and pieces like that, and we use the one beneath it for like the stuff drawer. Even in a small place you still need a stuff drawer. So that's this one. And then underneath that we have the bins. Bins is another thing that I'd like super emphasize as important in a build. We started this off with 2 bins down here. One that we were trying to use for food waste and one that we were trying to use for non-recycling. And unfortunately that just didn't really work because there isn't really anywhere to get rid of food waste properly. So we scrapped that, unfortunately, and we just put non-recycling and food waste all in together and it goes in a general waste bin. But we do keep a separate bag for recycling as well. And obviously that's something that we'll empty properly when we go across recycling bins and things like that. I'm going to talk to you about clothes storage now, which is a hot topic, I know, but it's one of the things that we really wanted to get right with this build, because again, with 2 adults, there's a lot of clothes. Like when I went from moving out of my parents' house fully and into the van, I did not realise how much I was keeping in terms of clothes. So I ended up giving a lot away to charity, selling what I could online, and then cramming everything else into basically just this wardrobe with a few little bits under the bed. I'm really proud of the storage cam put together because it's just so, like, I wouldn't believe how much stuff I actually did manage to keep just in this little area. So what we did is put together this little like grid racking system. Don't know what you'd call that. But basically what we do is fold up like t-shirts and bits and pieces and shove them into their little cubby holes. So I, in here, literally have enough clothes for about 10 days, 2 weeks of like being able to wear things and not needing to do laundry. I keep like underwear and socks and everything all in here in the smaller sections down the sides, and the larger ones are just for like tops, leggings, etc, etc. And I also have another half of this here. This one is always a little bit messier, but this is just 3 shelves. And this is for everything bulkier, so dresses, like long sleeved stuff, jumpers, dungarees. And again, I didn't really predict how much I would be able to keep and how much would actually fit in here. So I'm dead happy with that. I also, pardon me, I also decorated my side, and you'll notice in a moment that Cam's side does not have any decorations. He doesn't like my crochet mountain, which is upsetting to me. Another thing that you'll be able to see in this shot is the speakers that we have up here. So this is epic, and the speakers are linked to the sound system that I will show you in a little bit. The sound system basically just allows us to have like epic sound when we're watching films on the projector, or when we need music on to clean, or any of these things. It's really fun, it's really great, and having speakers in the van is something that Cam really wanted in this build. It's kind of a nod to the type of speakers he would have in his car back in his youth. I also work in a van, so it was important that we had a decent system to be able to let me work while Cam can still like exist here. And we also needed somewhere obviously to store my laptop, to make sure we could keep it charged, to just make sure that working in a small space was as stress-free and as easy as possible. And that is something that we, I think, have totally achieved, which is a relief, because that was to be honest with you, that was the biggest thing I was scared about when we moved into this lifestyle. I was scared about not having enough internet connection, I was scared about never having enough charge in my laptop, I was scared about not being able to take Zoom meetings, being disrupted. Like, it was this huge source of anxiety for me. But the setup that we have come up with is nice. It works perfectly, and I'm going to show you it. So this is my desk. On the weekends, this is Cam's desk. We have a timeshare sort of agreement on the desk. But it's basically just a piece of wood attached to a pole that goes into the floor. And it is totally removable, so this does literally come out and we can put it away. But ever since we've had it, we do kind of just leave it in place. It doesn't really go anywhere. And it's also been set to a height that I can have my laptop on it, sit up straight, take a Zoom meeting and not get backache or like hunch over all day. And because that was one of the things that was a huge pain in the arse at first, was actually getting this to a good height, because when we first tried it, it was down here, and that was like the recipe to be working like this. So we have a desk, we have like a decent comfy cushion underneath, and we have space for me to be able to sit back against like neutrally backdrop and actually take work meetings with a little ring light on top of my laptop here. So where's my laptop? We keep all of the electronics in this drawer, which pulls out from the bed here. So in here we have a couple of slots for laptops. We also have things in here like my hard drive, we have Cam's laptop, and we have a full charging station for all of them as well. This is also where the controls live for our water heater, for the diesel heater, and some spare plug sockets in here, so we're able to like charge phones and have them reach the bed rather than charging from up here, which is our other charging port. So there is a lot of other storage in this area as well. So underneath this seat here, the cushion just lifts off, and this lifts up. And under here we have a tub full of the dog's food. We have like my sewing bag, this is where we keep our bedding, any spare wash stuff and bits and pieces like that, they all live under here. We have even more storage at the back here underneath the bed. So our bed lifts up. And then underneath here we have a few different sections that we use for various bits of storage. Cam and I have like one of these sections each, and then there's a spare section in the middle for any other bits and bobs and crap that we store there. To be honest with you, we hardly use any of the stuff under the bed. I think if we were being brutal, we could literally like half our belongings again. So another thing that I like about this bit of the van is the window boards. These have a little hook in them, which is a very new addition. This stops them falling out while we're driving. And once you pull them out, you can see outside. But basically we did these to enable us to have that little bit more insulation. So it's Celotex behind ply, and they effectively just go into the window to both stop people seeing in, but also just to keep a little bit of more warmth in at night time when it's cold in the winter, etc, etc. I also mentioned that obviously I work, and one of the things I was really anxious about was the internet. So our internet setup is another important thing to mention to you. We have a Nighthawk M5 router, which we keep up here. That router is linked to our antenna on the outside of the van, which is a pointing antenna. I will put the name of the specific one we've got at the bottom, but that has been a godsend since we got it. We get pretty reliable internet through Kevlar wherever we are, and I'm really, really thankful that we invested in a decent internet setup, because the version 1 of the internet setup we had was absolute dog shit, and I was using my phone to hotspot for work most of the time. Obviously that is still an option, I can still use my phone to hotspot to work, but again, now we have options. We have reliable internet on Kevlar, we have hotspots if we need them, and having multiple ways to do stuff makes me feel a lot less anxious about the whole situation, really. Another thing that I think you can see in this shot is this tea towel like hanging down. We hang them above our wood burner to let them dry. I'm going to show you how we do that as well. Sorry Heimdall, can I move my feet? Can I move my feet? So these hang above the wood burner, and basically it just helps us keep them dry. The wood burner itself has this nice big surround around it, and that is because originally we noticed that the plastic behind the wood burner was starting to melt a little. Not ideal. So now we have a heat deflector. Underneath the wood burner we have wood storage. So lots and lots of wood storage in here, from kindling to your chunky monkey wood logs. Wood logs? I'm gonna go with it. And that's stocked up as often as we can, just so we can ensure that we've always got a couple of ways to stay warm. So Cam wanted it noted that he made the wood burner surround out of an old barrel. So that's pretty cool. I think he's got a video on it. So some other storage that we have in the van we have the coat hooks here. So we have 4 coat hooks, which is enough to store all the coats. So we have, like, we tried to cut down our coats, but we seem to like accumulate jumpers and coats, and more ends up on these hooks every single day. So I'm glad that Cam put extras in here. We also have shoe storage at the bottom here, and the shoe storage again was a really great thing that we put in. It's basically just bungee cords drilled into the wood frame for the shower, but it does just help to keep it tidy. Kevlar version 1 had no shoe storage, so shoes were just a nightmare, impossible to keep tidy. We also have shoe storage behind the curtain. These are like thermal curtains. They're here for privacy and just to keep a little bit of the chill out the front. But behind here we have the bulkhead, which is pretty much just used for like winter hats, camera bags, our Karcher thing to get the condensation off the window at the front, and the Hoover and all of that bits and bobs. They all live up there. And then we have the shower. So the shower has a little lock on it here. Basically just keeps the door closed when we're driving and means that we can shut each other out sometimes, you know. So in here, the light turns on by magic, which is a feature that I personally really like. And it's like a metal surround. So as you can see on this side are like metal spice rack. These are magnetic on here because that is what the inside of the shower is made from. It has a nice little wooden slatted floor that keeps you just like off the water accumulating in the bottom while it drains. And we also have like a flexi shower head which comes out here as well. This was the best solution, I think. In the last build we had a static shower head, and this is just a lot more useful for hair wash day and quick washes when you're not having a like full shower. So we also have a toilet in here, which is just your average camping toilet, to be honest. Again, before we had a Thetford cassette toilet, and it just deteriorated over time. There seems to be a lot of components on them that go wrong. The seals, like there's a lot of different seals on it, so once the seals start to perish, it's pretty much useless. This one that we have now is really basic, but it has less that can go wrong in it, and it does the job right. We also have a couple of pee bottles, which is one of the glamorous topics I'm covering in this video. But pee bottles are a really good idea because it means that the toilet can last us a full, well, over a week really. And we can just empty pee bottles when we go past like a public toilet or something like that without actually causing problems, because obviously you can't tip like a hot toilet down there. It's not right, don't do it. But the pee bottles are absolutely fine. In here we also have a few things like a shower caddy just to store like shower gels and bits like that in there. And we have a fan. Cam made that out of an old computer fan, I believe. And so the extractor is really nice, and it actually goes and it vents out one of the holes where the sirens used to go in Kevlar. And I like that as well. Use what's there. Again, we have a towel rail on the back of the door, and we actually have a mirror, which is hopefully not showing how dirty it is on this video. But again, the towel rack is really useful, and it's nice to actually have a mirror in here because we didn't have a mirror on the last build and it makes a difference. So I'm just going to run you through a couple of the more technical aspects of the build now, because that's information that you might find useful, especially if you're looking to do something like this. 120 litre water container for fresh water, and we have a 120 litre grey water container. We also have 400 amp hour in total of lithium ion batteries, so we've got 2 separate 200 amp hour batteries. We have a 300 watt solar panel, 60 amp DC to DC charger, and a 3000 watt inverter. One of the other things I've not mentioned in this video is that we also have a max air fan. That is an essential feature, I would say, for a van build. It keeps things fresh in here, it keeps us cool in the summer, it keeps us ventilated in the winter, and it's just, yeah, it would be essential for us alone, but having pets, you absolutely gotta have one in a build.